Oh, I just realized I have stuff in the background. Sorry, I baked some muffins.
Ron, play the music.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have another
carecollab for you.
and this time it's about Miltoniopsis. I will just show all the channels that participate in this carecollab on the screen right now. I was originally invited by Jess Attainable Green to join this carecollab. I'm really thankful for that because I think Miltoniopsis are really misunderstood orchids. As in, people consider them extremely fussy, extremely hard in maintenance, and I just don't think that's true. So, as you can see, I have two Miltoniopsis here, are extremely vigorous. This one not as much as this one. This particular plant has been in bloom more or less since December non-stop. Last year it produced 4 new growths. This year it's actually working on 5 new growths. And every single growth usually leads to the production of flowers. Typically the growth pattern of a Miltoniopsis is, it has a new growth. It's forming on the side of an already existing pseudobulb. And these growths will usually carry 1 to 2 flower spikes. These flower spikes usually come from the first or second leaves in my experience. However, this plant decided to put out a third flower spike closer to the center of the pseudobulb. You can see here that there's only one bud left so far. This is because we're having kind of a heat wave, or we had one rather, and temperatures were rising to over 30 degrees, 35 degrees, sometimes even above that during the day, and this is just a little much for these plants under my conditions. And these high temperatures lead to a lot of dehydration, which then manifests in crinkly leaves and bud blast. However, the more established specimen like this one can tolerate high temperatures much better, and this plant has produced a really nice flower spike. Typically the summer flower spikes, or the flower spikes produced in under warm conditions, are a little smaller. You can see here this flower spike was produced in April/May, whereas this one matured in June. So the temperatures were much higher here, the flowers are smaller. This flower spike has only one flower on it because I'm an idiot. So while cleaning up the apartment, taking care of stuff, I snapped off the flower spike here. I don't know if you can see this. And yeah, that was really sad. There were 7 more flowers on this one. But it's fine. This plant, I think, has given me a really impressive show this year, and so I'm not going to complain about that. In my hands, Miltoniopsis are extremely rewarding plants. They are vigorous and floriferous if I follow a few simple rules. Rule number 1, I already mentioned this, is not too much heat. I keep the Miltoniopsis away from any heat mat. While most of my Cattleya types are growing on heat mats, the Miltoniopsis are kept far away from those. So, rule number 2 is hydration. I typically, I don't know if I can show this, make sure that the little reservoir that they're sitting in has always a little bit of water in it. I let it dry out, I guess, once a week, but then I refill, so the plants are under constant moisture in the media. And you can see this moisture here as well. There's moss growing, so you can tell that this plant receives a lot of humidity. Rule number 3 is kind of intermediate light conditions. While my Cattleyas are all growing under artificial light and pretty high light conditions, the Miltoniopsis are usually kept away from this light. They are still in the same room as the Cattleyas, so they're still exposed to maybe some more diffuse light, but the main light source for them is actually the window, and it's a kind of northwest facing window. So during summer at night they will get some sunlight, but other than that it's only kind of diffuse brightness that they're experiencing, the typical bright shade. Rule number 4, I think it's 4, I don't know. Rule number 4 concerns the media I use for them. And I usually grow in organic media. For the Miltoniopsis, it's a mixture of sphagnum moss and very, very fine bark. So usually what I do is I put a layer of sphagnum moss on the bottom of the pot, and then I will add very fine bark, this kind of grade of bark, on top to create kind of layers. Make sure that there's still some moss poking through, and then basically give it another layer of moss again and kind of pile it up like this. You can't really see in here because there's so much of live moss growing, but this kind of generates even distribution of hydration throughout the pot, and it really minimizes the formation of a dry top layer. Then, as you can see, top it all off with some bark, and that's it. And then rule number 5, sorry for being so normative about this, but rule number 5 for me is don't touch the root. These plants have extremely fine roots. In my experience, Miltoniopsis roots do not do well as aerial roots. They should really get in touch with media as soon as possible. And so while the plants tend to have kind of a growing habit, so I don't know if you can tell here, but the pseudobulbs are also partially kind of growing on top of each other. It's really best to keep the roots in close contact to media though, because they dry out really quickly. So I personally think that if you follow these few basic guidelines of care, you can get a lot of blooms and a lot of joy from these plants. In my opinion, they are very forgiving. No, they're not though. And they will reward you with stunning and rather long-lasting flowers. As I said, this plant has been in bloom now for 7 months, basically, on and off. But a single flower spike lasts easily 2 weeks to almost 2 months, basically, depending on the temperature. During winter, they last even longer. And the best part is, Miltoniopsis flowers have a beautiful fragrance. This plant is more of a kind of rose and honey fragrance, extremely luxurious, whereas this plant is more a sweet citrus peel, like lemon peel. In my experience, these flowers are most fragrant in the morning time, so I'd say like as soon as sun hits them, and then by 11 a.m. it kind of peaks, and then the scent dissipates over the afternoon. And this makes it really nice, especially for me on the weekends when they're in bloom. I just wake up and the entire room smells so luxurious, really inviting, and it just sparks a lot of joy for me. As a grower in Central Europe, the conditions were really conducive to growing Miltoniopsis, at least before climate change. However, I do not have a lot of experience in warmer climates. And this is where the beauty of carecollabs comes in. Check out all the other channels and see how other people grow Miltoniopsis under their conditions. I know Jess, for example, lives in California, so her climate is completely different to mine, and she still manages to grow beautiful, impressive Miltoniopsis. So thanks a lot for all the contributing channels to this carecollab, and thanks a lot for Jess for inviting me. With all of that said, thanks a lot for watching, and if you like this video, check out another video, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you. While the cattleyas are all basically grown on heat mats, oh my god, not heat maps, sorry, thinking about work way too much, we're not doing heat maps here, heat mats. I lost count of the rules.